Local news, national news, even feel-good news. Delivering the topics that are relevant to you.
That's why I listen to Joe. He covers it all.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
So a long time ago, no, and Laurel, no, I'm not introducing a Star Wars movie. A long time ago, there was a guy on the radio named Paul Harvey. And Paul Harvey would every day do about a 15-minute newscast, and every now and again he would use the term shop talk. He would say shop talk, and every time Paul Harvey was talking about shop talk, he meant he was about to talk about radio. So in an ode to Paul Harvey, shop talk, I want to talk about radio here at the top of the hour. And regrettably, I don't have anything good to say. I've got something bad actually to say. A very popular DJ here in the Orlando area died this week, and we just found out about it today. It's not one of our radio stations, and by our, I mean for our ownership group. It's a competing radio station, but Sunny FM, their longtime DJ Domino, died. What I'm told was Monday. Guy was in his early 50s. I think he was 52, maybe 54. But he was in his early 50s. I don't know any other circumstances other than that, but my heart breaks for Domino's family. He's got a teenage daughter. And I'm crushed. I am absolutely crushed. I met him. I've only met him briefly. It was very, very briefly. I met that guy once. But I heard him on the radio. I listen to everybody's radio stations. You probably have heard him too. The guy's been in radio forever. I mean, he's one of my people. And by my people, I mean guys that have been in radio forever. And he will be sorely missed, I have no doubt, over at Sunny FM and the Odyssey ownership group, Odyssey Radio. That's the ownership group from where he worked. I don't know anything about any kind of services. I don't know the cause of death. I truly don't know anything. And I've texted a couple of friends, and I'm going to give them their time and space, and I just feel terrible. You know, there comes a point as you get older and you see these untimely deaths. You know, when someone dies and they're 80, 90 years old, I'm like never sad when someone is 80 or 90 years old, maybe even in their 70s, you know, because they lived long lives. They lived to life expectancy. But when someone passes in their 40s and their 50s, 60s even, you know. I remember when, you know, I think we all remember when we were kids, we were like, oh my gosh, 30 years old is so old. And then once you get to be 30, you're like, 30's not old. You know, and then you get to be 40, you're like, 40's not old. So my condolences to everybody at Sunny FM, and my prayers are for, I believe his daughter's name is Zane. And I believe he spoke of her on the radio with relative frequency. But if you're the praying type, I'm sure the family would appreciate that. And both Domino's family and his radio family would appreciate that. That's got to be tough for them to deal with right now. If something like that happened at our radio group, I mean, I remember, and Laurel, I remember, I know that you remember, a couple years back, and I'm not telling stories out of turn because he is very open about this, but our morning show host at K92.3, Obi, got into a terrible car crash one night coming home from a nightclub.
Yeah, that's right.
And the early reports we got was paralyzed from the neck down or dead. And
he had flipped his truck. Yeah. He was upside down in a ditch.
Totaled his pickup truck. And I remember that we were all just immobilized. We couldn't do anything. We all just came together as a radio station, as actually, you know, we're like 6 or 7 radio stations. And I mean, if one person is hurt in our group, we're all hurting for that person. And I know that that's how they feel over there. So I breaks my heart. Also, coming up, we're going to check in with Paul Cross on this, but there's going to be a big change coming to Sand Lake Road by this weekend. Sand Lake Road under I-4. They're gonna make a big change, a radical change under I-4 at Sand Lake Road, which if you're someone who drives that every day, and who doesn't drive that every day? I mean, there's a lot of people. I think, hang on, what was the number? I saw the number of how many people drive under 110,000 cars a day. 110,000 cars a day use Sand Lake under I-4. And by 11 o'clock Friday night, there's going to be a massive lane shift that's going to be permanent. It's not going to be one of these little temporary, while we fix things, lane change. There's going to be a significant lane change coming to that Friday at 11 p.m., and I don't want you to get caught off guard Monday when you're headed to work or school and you're like, whoa, how come no one told us about this? Well, I'm going to tell you about it, okay? I want you guys to be aware of this, so I'll have the details for you coming up in just a few minutes. First, it is a busy day. And honestly, it just seems like a mediocre Tuesday at best. But some would call this a Super Tuesday, and it is time for the Joe Kelley Presidential Pinger. We have low-jacked all of the presidential candidates, and we're tracking them as they make their way around the United States each day campaigning. We are 0 days away from Super Tuesday. Oh, well, that means it's today now, isn't it? Today is Super Tuesday. 4 days until early voting begins in Florida, but I'm going to have an asterisk for that coming up in a second. We're 7 days away until Georgia, Washington, and Mississippi vote. In 14 days is Florida's primary election. So 2 weeks from today, Florida, Arizona, Illinois, Kansas, and Ohio all have their election day. And there were 245 days away from the general election. Now, I have been mentioning for the past couple of weeks that early voting has to begin by March 9th. It has to begin. By state law, it has to begin by March 9th. But it can begin sooner than that. And a prime example of that is Orange County. Orange County started early voting yesterday. Yesterday. If you're an Orange County resident, you can start early voting as of yesterday, 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. You could go vote right now at your early voting locations. And if you want to find out where are your early voting locations, just click the Voter's Guide button in the WDBO app or at WDBO.com. Because I can't possibly, it's not just a shameless pitch to our digital products. I couldn't possibly take the time to tell you all of the locations that have early voting in all of our counties. Not going to do it, couldn't do it, ain't going to happen. Osceola County and Seminole County, their early voting starts this Saturday, and those hours are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. in Osceola County, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. in Seminole County. President Joe Biden and Donald Trump are looking to all but clinch their parties' respective nominations as polls in 15 states close here on this Super Tuesday. This as VP Kamala Harris was out today flat out lying about the Georgia election law.
In Georgia, extremists passed a law to even make it illegal to give people food and water for standing in line to exercise their civic duty and right to vote. I ask the friends here, Rev, whatever happened to love thy neighbor? The hypocrisy abounds.
I'm sorry, is she doing one of those fake accents there? That is not her normal cadence. That is not normally how she speaks. I feel like she is trying to cop a Southern accent there. First of all, she's absolutely lying. Lies, lies, lies. Yeah, they're gonna get you. As the Florida election law doesn't say that you can't give somebody a bottle of water or a ham sandwich or something like that while they're standing in line. It simply says that campaigns can't do it. Even a simpleton, even a low IQ simpleton, someone like, Kamala Harris should be able to figure out why it is inappropriate for a campaign to give water or sandwiches or snacks to people who are standing in line. One might say that that would be something akin to vote buying. You're trying to influence people to your political campaign by giving them free water, free snacks, give them a beer, give them a scotch, whatever it is you're going to do. It is crazy. Speaking about crazy, Hillary Clinton is one of the many, many different surrogates that is going forward to the media. Since Joe Biden doesn't sit down for interviews, since Joe Biden cannot complete sentences, he has these surrogates that are going out and speaking on his behalf. And Hillary Clinton taking an interesting tactic where she basically just said, let's go ahead and call Joe Biden old. Here's Hillary Clinton.
You know, somebody the other day said to me, Zerlina, well, but Joe Biden's old. I said, you know what? Joe Biden is old. Let's go ahead and accept the reality. Joe Biden is old. So we have a contest between one candidate who's old, but who's done an effective job and doesn't threaten our democracy. And we have another candidate who is old, barely makes sense when he talks, is dangerous, and threatens our democracy. So really, pick between your two old ones and figure out how you're going to save our democracy, because no matter where you stand on the political spectrum, you want to maintain freedom and the rule of law and protection for people's fundamental rights, or at least I used to think so.
Do you think that tactic is going to work for Hillary Clinton and the Democrats? Do you think go ahead and just calling Joe Biden old, but saying, yeah, he's old, but he's not as bad as the other old guy? Do you think that is a winning strategy for the Biden administration, the Biden campaign? You can let me know at 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326, or use the open mic in the WDBO app. And one last thing. I have listened to those of you who have said, Joe, why do you play the late night comics in the presidential pinger? They're not funny. They're rude. They're not funny. And I have listened to you. And as of tonight, this will be the last time I'm going to play anything from the late night comics as part of the presidential pinger. And honestly, I was not going to play anything at all until I stumbled across Mark Cuban on Stephen Colbert last night. Man, I kind of used to like Mark Cuban. I kind of like the Shark Tank. I thought that was a fun show to watch. But Mark Cuban has gone off the deep end. So he was on Stephen Colbert last night attempting to rap. As someone who loves rap music, I will tell you that Mark Cuban is terrible at rapping. And then Stephen Colbert chimes in during this. But this is an utterly disgusting Mark Cuban, vulgar and disgusting, last night on Stephen Colbert rapping about Donald Trump.
Donald, the gloves are off. Hey, speaking of gloves, I got you a pair for your birthday. Your child's medium, right? Donald, I've got a travel tip for you. When you're going through customs and they ask if you got anything to declare, try not to blurt out bankruptcy. Hey, Donald, your companies fail so often, you must have gone to business school at Trump University.
He just dropped you like one of your first two wives.
You're shining. Orange.
Honestly, there's another minute of this, and I can't do it. I can't do it. I won't do it. And I'm going to save you guys the agony of having to listen to more of that Mark Cuban. It gets quite a bit more vulgar there at the end. But I have listened to you, and I'm going to take your advice to heart, and I'm not going to play the late night comics anymore. Honestly, that'll save me an extra edit that I have to do every day anyway. So I'm cool with that either way. All right, it's the presidential pinger coming up next here on the Joe Kelley Show. Very busy today in the newsroom. We had our news staff just working frantically, dozens of them running around like crazy, getting every story published in time. We'll have all the stories that you missed coming up next on the Joe Kelley Show.
Hear that? Spring is back, and so is Church's Seafood. With a flavorful fish sandwich or classic shrimp basket, each starting at just $3.99.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Your office 2 hours. We're breaking down today's big stories. Here's what you missed while you were at work.
All right, y'all, this has got to be the craziest story of the day. If we were to rate crazy stories on a scale of 1 to 10, this would be like a 10, how crazy this story is. So in Michigan, a vape store caught on fire. and it blew up. There was an explosion at this vape smoke shop in Michigan. A quarter mile away from the vape shop, some 19-year-old dude was standing around minding his own business when a canister from that explosion hit him and killed him. Imagine that. That guy's standing there minding his own business, and suddenly a projectile from a quarter mile away hit him. That sounds like serendipity. That's like getting struck by lightning, isn't it? I mean, that's not remarkable. That's remarkable, isn't it, Paul? Paul Cross, can you turn Paul on? We're busy. We can't turn Paul on. I don't like phrasing it that way, to be honest with you. I think the moment is lost.
Okay, I'm on. Am I on now?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. What that reminds me of is you had a story a little while ago about that them blowing up that whale on the beach. And here we are, a quarter mile away being hit by whale blubber. Is Joe on the air now?
No.
Oh, see.
Now I am.
Okay.
There we go. We only have one microphone. We're all sharing one microphone, so only one of us can talk at a time.
No, but you just reminded me of that because I'm thinking whale blubber landing a quarter of a mile away, hitting somebody in the head. It's like, where did that come from?
Right, I know. I mean, just a quarter mile away, it hits this guy. It's sad, but still, it just seems...
what are the odds?
Yeah, it's got to be impossible. Also, Bitcoin soars to a new record, topping $69,000 after a rally that has defied the expectations of analysts and investors. Meanwhile, I bought Dogecoin instead of Bitcoin. Oh, damn, have I lost a lot of money.
Which is why you're still working today.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Facebook and Instagram are back up, Meta says, after a widespread outage that affected thousands of users. The Dartmouth College men's basketball team votes to unionize, with the Service Employees International Union becoming the first group of organized student athletes in the nation. That is crazy to think. Yeah, that they're members of a union now, so they have collective, bargaining rights. They can, bargain as a group with the team. Kristen Sinema.
I was just going to say, so at this point, the school hasn't certified that, though. So they're still not recognizing the union. So we'll see how that goes. We
will indeed. Kristen Sinema will not run for re-election. The Arizona senator who left the Democratic Party in 2022 to become an independent would have faced a tough re-election if she decided to run. That does really open the door, though, for popular Republican Carrie Lake to potentially step into that position. And lastly, new charges for Democrat senator. The New York Times fails to identify that Robert Menendez is a Democrat senator of New Jersey, and his wife Nadine Menendez charged with obstruction of justice, adding to the wide-ranging bribery and corruption charges they already face. I'm Joe Kelley. If you travel under I-4 on Sand Lake, a big change coming your way Friday night, 11 p.m. I'm going to break it all down for you coming up next.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Connected to our community. Talk local issues and events with Joe Kelley. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let Joe know what interests you. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
All right, a couple of housekeeping notes here. One, if you'd like to watch the video of the Joe Kelley Show, we've secretly hidden cameras in all of our studios. And everybody is on camera right now. If you want to be able to see the behind the scenes, how the sausage is made, if you will, just check that out on the WDBO Facebook page. That's where that resides. Also, if you're looking for an opportunity to listen to the show to your heart's content, look for the Joe Kelley Show podcast. Give it a follow. Give it a download. Give it away now. Anything that's fine. Just look for the Joe Kelley Show podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And then there's the Joe Kelley Show Facebook page. And then we're going to have Joe Kelley Show hacky sack balls and Joe Kelley Show plushies and Joe Kelley Show Crocs. They're all in the works, I'm told. We don't really have a budget for any of that, but I'm told that it's in the works. So just brace yourself for that. All right. So if you travel, if you're one of the 110,000 cars that drives under I-4 at Sand Lake Road every single day, and even if you're not someone who does it every single day, which to me would just be flat out torture. I mean, that would be the worst kind of torture to have to drive under Sand Lake, under I-4 rather, at Sand Lake every day. But all of us have had to do it at one point or another. Well, coming Friday night at 11 p.m. is a new change underneath I-4, and that is going to be a switch to the diverging diamond interchange. And our intrepid traffic reporter, Paul Cross, just a few moments ago showed a picture in the chat group of what the diverging diamond interchange looks like. And you nailed it, man. Here's my impression. Here's my impression of how they came up with a diverging diamond interchange, okay? Traffic engineers that are just getting out of college, they're all sitting around one night and they're stoned. I've got an idea. Let's drive on the other side of the road. That's what it is. That's what diverging diamond is. Let's drive
exactly right.
On the other side of the road.
It means that traffic in each direction is going to shift to the opposite sides. It's crazy. It's like welcome to Europe.
Yeah. It's very confusing, especially if you've never done it before. Now, may I suggest, if you want to rehearse what you're going to experience Monday for your morning drive to work or school, if you want to rehearse it, just go a little further down I-4 to Champions Gate, because Champions Gate has had the diverging diamond for the last year and a half. And I will tell you that I have driven on that diverging diamond a couple times in the last year and a half. The first time I was entirely lost. The second time I was mostly lost. The third time I was kind of lost. And about the fourth time I started to figure it out. I started to get it by about the fourth time. But it does take some getting used to. Cool. All right, so just
sorry. I had somebody talking in my other ear.
Me too. I'm real busy. I don't have time for this.
Please.
So that's going to start Friday at 11 p.m. So you'll have the whole weekend to go out there and rehearse that if you want to do that. And
just you know what? Pay attention to the signs. They're doing it because they need to give construction crews space to work on these changes, because they're going to be changing all kinds of these patterns. And it's not even supposed to be done until 2027. So you figure you have quite a bit of time there that's going to be all messed up through that area.
But that diverging diamond is long-term. That's not a temporary solution. That is their long-term fix under I-4. The construction is going to be I-4.
Right. They have to move a lot of these roadways away to do that. But you're right, the construction is on I-4. Doing this is going to make it so that you can always make a right turn to get on I-4. You never have to make a left turn onto I-4 from Sand Lake.
And it cuts down on how many traffic signals you have to go through, evidently. There are fewer traffic signals with a diverging diamond than there are the current
it will help the flow of traffic, because it will not be, you won't have a lot of red lights. But at the same time, there's a lot of getting used to that, too.
Yeah, look, we all hate change, right? We're all afraid of change, especially if you're a conservative. Change is the enemy. We don't like change. We want everything to just stay just the way that it is. But the way that it is right now sucks bad. It sucks terrible. So honestly, anything would be better than what they have right now. And a diverging diamond in that case would be better than what we have now. There is an interesting debate that has been sparked by the death of Madeline Soto. This, if you don't recall, maybe you have short-term memory, maybe you weren't here. Madeline Soto is the 13-year-old girl who disappeared, I guess, what is it now, a week ago Monday. And her body was found late Friday afternoon in a big field, a wooded area in rural Osceola County. The boyfriend of the mother is being held. I don't believe he's been charged with her murder yet. I think they're still waiting for some evidence, but he's been held on other charges with no bond. But an interesting discussion has stemmed from that, because the boyfriend was supposed to drop her off at school that morning at, like 8 a.m.? Isn't that what time people start school typically, 8 a.m. or so? And the mother did not get a notification until 5 p.m. that her daughter was not at school that day. I can see why there should be a discussion about this. If the school is going to notify preferably, I think parents are supposed to notify the school if their child is not going to be in class that day, right? Isn't that how that works? You call the school and say, hey, this is Joe Kelley's mom, and little Joe is not going to be there today because he's a wimp and he just can't go to school today. And then they write it down, and then maybe they check to make sure. But if you send your kid off to school in the morning with the expectation that your child is going to arrive safely, and you don't get a call till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and as the case was, the mother of Madeline Soto called the school. She waited for her daughter to come out. And so she ultimately called the school and said, where's my daughter? And they said, oh, yeah, your daughter wasn't at school today. What? So now they are having a discussion with Orange County Schools to make it such that parents are notified much earlier in the day in that scenario. And I think that is a good discussion to have. One of the parents has started a change.org petition saying every minute counts when a child is missing. The change.org petition says notify parents promptly in the morning of student absences to avoid a scenario where a student is absent without the parents' knowledge for 10 hours, like in the case of Madeline Soto. Soto's mother reached out to Hunters Creek Middle School Monday afternoon when she couldn't find her daughter during the after-school pickup. Orange County Schools uses an automated system to alert parents via phone call or text whenever a student is absent from school, but it comes down to the timing. And it comes down to, when they take the important attendance. Some of that is, at least when I was in school, was federal based of when they count the attendance, because it's something like third period or something like that as to when you get the federal dollars for how many children are in that school. Seminole schools, parents of younger students get automated calls before 11 a.m. Osceola, parents with younger students will hear about absences before noon. Lake County, parents are notified within the first 2 hours of the school day. Marion County, automated messages go out at various times throughout the morning. Brevard Elementary School, parents are notified in the late morning. And in Volusia, parents calls to parents of elementary school students start around 10 a.m. Yeah, I think, look, there's no reason why the schools, if they're going to be making calls anyway to parents saying that your child is absent from school that day, there is no reason why they can't do it earlier in the day. And I think that would be a win-win for everybody. What do you think? 844-580-WDBO. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. Hit me up right now. Let me know. Coming up at the top of the hour, what has got to be one of the most ludicrous government nonsense, U.S. government, just to be clear, that you probably ever heard of. Political correctness run amok. So asinine and stupid this case was that they walked it back. I'll have that for you coming up just after 6. Stay with us here on The Joe Kelley Show.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. For 100 years, we've been your voice, your source, your heartbeat. From the roaring 20s to the digital age, we've been there for it all. Happy 100th anniversary, WDBO, where history and headlines meet.
I'm so glad you're joining us here on The Joe Kelley Show. Thank you so much. If not for you, we would not be here. So thank you for being a part of the show. Tell a friend. Spread the word, 844-580-WDBO, or you can use the open mic in the WDBO app. If you're just joining us, some parents in Orange County have started a petition at change.org to notify parents promptly in the morning of a student absence to avoid a scenario where a student is absent without the parent's knowledge for 10 hours, like in the case of Madeline Soto, whose body was found late Friday in rural Osceola County.
Joe, as a retired parochial school teacher and principal, but now subbing in a local county school district, I cannot fathom why they are not called in the morning. That is just negligence on the part of the school district.
Well, and that is obviously what some of those parents think as well.
Hey, Joe. Parent notification in Orange County schools is in the late afternoon because it's a teachers' union bargaining issue.
I'm going to have to just take your word for that. I don't know that myself. So anybody who has taken that to heart, you might want to independently verify that. But I wouldn't be terribly surprised if that was part of the collective bargaining.
Hey, Joe, when I was in school, first thing in the morning, they had what was called a home room. And everybody went to that class before they were dispersed, out for the day to the classes. And that home room could take your roll, take the roll call, and then immediately report if anybody's missing to the office. And the phone calls could start going out right then.
Yeah, and there's just no reason, especially with today's technology. Back in the day, it would require a school receptionist or a guidance counselor or, somebody in the administrative staff in the front office who would have to literally pick up a phone and dial with their fingers, a rotary dial phone. I'm not that old. It's not like you pick up the phone and ask the operator, connect me, please, to Klondike 5 77322. But, these days, technologically speaking, it's a computer program. I mean, there is no reason why they can't notify families sooner if their son or daughter hasn't made it to school. I had an early morning doctor's appointment last week, just a garden variety doctor's appointment, and as I was driving, I saw a bunch of just cute kids walking either to school or to the bus stop. And of course, because of the Madeline Soto incident, in my mind, I'm thinking, golly, I'd love to think that these kids are all going to make it to school safely, but there's no guarantee of that. And, for a lot of these kids, their moms and dads said, bye, Junior, we love you. We'll pick you up after school. We'll go get a burger together after school, whatever it is. And as far as the parents know, the kid got on the bus. As far as the parents know, the kid got to school safely. And if the school doesn't call them until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, hey, your son didn't show up today. Well, where in the world have you been since 8 o'clock this morning? If I was a parent in that scenario, I would be so thoroughly indignant. Not to use the word twice in 2 nights, but I would be apoplectic. I would be just beside. I would go nuclear if my school did not notify me sooner that my child didn't actually show up 10 hours ago. Coming up next, our government is embarrassing. I am embarrassed for the political correctness that is our United States government, and it deals with that famous photo on VJ Day, Victory Over Japan Day in Times Square, where the sailor kissed the nurse, the VA ordering those pictures taken down because there's no proof that the nurse consented to the kiss. We're going to unpack that for you next. Stay with us on The Joe Kelley Show.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, from the Bogan Munz & Munz WDBO Traffic Center. Auto accident? Choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Still seeing those delays through Lake Mary on I-4 westbound and then into downtown from Parr onto the 408 eastbound. 408 eastbound not looking too bad tonight. Usually it's bumper to bumper all the way to Goldenrod, but it's clear sailing right now once you get off that ramp from I-4 westbound. Eastbound, you're seeing a little bit of delays as you pass OBT through downtown and then from Parr to Lee. And we got a crash in Seminole County, 1792 northbound at School Street. Put that tax refund to good use at Refresh Computers, Central Florida's budget computer store. Visit refreshcomputers.net or visit the Refresh Computers Superstore in Longwood. From the WDBO Traffic Center, I'm Paul Cross.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Insightful.
You tell the truth from your point of view.
Entertaining.
Man, that guy is a lot taller than he sounds on the radio.
And engaging.
When we hear you on the radio, it's a good thing.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO.
Well, Well, it is Super Tuesday, and some of the polls have closed, and some of the states are being called. Joe Biden will win the Iowa Democratic caucuses, according to projections from ABC News, NBC News, and pretty much everybody else. We could go through these state by state, but it's going to be pretty clear that Biden is going to win all of the Democrat states, and Donald Trump will win almost all, if not all, of the Republican states, though we will certainly keep you updated. If you would like to get a breaking news push alert, if you make sure you've downloaded the WDBO app, turn on your app notifications, and when there are relevant actual news stories, when there are relevant actual reports from the Super Tuesday voting that are different than what is fully expected, we will certainly send you a push alert with that. Or when it's all said and done, we will certainly send you a push alert to let you know exactly what has happened. My name is Joe Kelley, and let's see. All right. The Veterans Affairs, U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. I got to tell you, there are some days, do you ever have those days where you wake up and you fling open the curtains and you look outside and the birds are chirping and the sun is shining and you see the American flag fluttering in the distance and you think, oh man, I am so proud to be an American. And then you have days like today when you wake up and you find out about the Department of Veterans Affairs and you think, I am so embarrassed to be an American. America has become a parody of itself. America has become a satire of stupidity. Today's one of those days, the latter, not the former. Today is a joke. The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs reversing a decision, but let me tell you about the decision they made first. But just know that they realized how boneheadedly moronic this decision was, and they have since reversed it. You guys know the famous photo, the VJ Day in Times Square, VJ Victory over Japan Day in Times Square. Y'all know the picture of the Navy sailor kissing a nurse. That picture, I'm just going to guess it probably won a Pulitzer. I don't know off the top of my head, but it's a famous picture. I know you know the picture. I know you know what I'm talking about. So the Veterans Affairs put out a memo on February 29th. And I have a copy of the memo. It is from the Assistant Undersecretary for Health and Operations. The subject, removal and replacement of VJ Day and Times Square photographs. And I'm going to skip through blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Let's get down to paragraph 2 background halfway down the paragraph. It reads, the placement of this photograph in Veterans Affairs facilities was initially intended to celebrate and commemorate the end of World War II and the triumphant return of American soldiers. However, it reads, perspectives on historical events and their representations evolve. Recent discussions have highlighted concerns about the non-consensual nature of the kiss, prompting debates on consent and the appropriateness of celebrating such images in today's environment, especially within institutions such as the VA facilities, which are committed to upholding standards of creating a safe and respectful environment. How dare that Navy sailor be so haphazard with his safety and respect, kissing a nurse in Times Square in 1945 at the end of the war. Paragraph 3, it's under the decision. The Department of Justice's current definition of sexual assault includes any non-consensual sexual act or any act where the victim cannot consent. Oh my goodness. They're saying that that picture amounts to sexual assault. It further reads, this definition is adhered to by the department when applying our policies and guidance. by the VA's no tolerance policy towards domestic violence, sexual harassment, and assault, as outlined in the VA Handbook 5979 and VHA Directive 5019-02, parenthetically 1. The VA is committed to eliminating these behaviors in our community. Employees have expressed discomfort with the display of this photograph, suggesting that its presence could be construed as tacit endorsement of the inappropriate behavior it depicts. Oh my gosh. The VA, the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, taking down and later saying, nope, well, we changed our mind. The Secretary of the VA, Dennis McDonough, today on this Super Tuesday, tweeted out a copy of the image, which appeared in Life magazine. And he writes, "Let me be clear. This image is not banned from VA facilities, and we will keep it in VA facilities." Now, quite coincidentally, much like, and I don't know if you guys know this, but you know the famous image, the Marine Corps Memorial in Washington is a statue of the famous raising of the flag over Iwo Jima. One is a hot sauce. What mountain is that? Mount Sriracha? No, Sriracha is the hot sauce. Mount
Sinai.
No, it's not Mount Sinai. That's Bible. That's different. That's hang on. Hey Google, where did the Marine Corps place the flag at Iwo Jima?
On the website barracks.marines.mil, they say, the Marine Corps War Memorial depicts the raising of the American flag at Mount Suribachi on the 23rd of February.
All right, Mount Suribachi. Hey, Google, stop. Hey, Google, stop. All right, so Mount Suribachi. I knew I was close. Not Sriracha. Mount Suribachi. I don't know if you know this, but that photo is a fake. The photo from which that statue was created was faked because they did it twice. The Marines first erected the flag, and long story short, a photographer asked them to restage the photo. And they did it again, and there were different Marines that raised the flag the second time than the first time. Major controversy. Well, much like the photo of the Marines over Mount Suribachi, there have been multiple claims as to who is depicted in the photograph of the KISS VJ Day in Times Square. In fact, coincidentally, ironically, oddly, one of the people that claims it was him is a guy named Carl Muscarello. And Carl Muscarello is a Florida man. Well, was a Florida man. He died last week at the age of 97. He claims he was the guy. The photographer was by a guy named Alfred Eisenstadt. And he has also said that it was a couple different people that was in the photograph. So it's unclear who the people were in the photograph. By one account, it was a Florida man who just died last week. By another account, George Mendoza was the dude and Greta Friedman was the woman. Friedman died in 2016 at the age of 92. Mendoza died in 2019 at the age of 95. So it's really unclear. There are multiple people who claim to have been in that photograph. And honestly, the photographer himself says everybody was kissing everybody in Times Square during that celebration. So it could well have been a couple different people. A couple different people could have a legit claim that they are that person. But how embarrassing, how you know, the thing that embarrasses me most about this is the last, let me shuffle paper, is the last part. where it says, employees have expressed discomfort with the display of this photograph, suggesting that its presence could be construed as a tacit endorsement of the inappropriate behavior it depicts. Aw, those poor people at the VA got their feelings hurt. We can't let them have their feelings hurt. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app.
Hey, Joe, I just wanted to let you know regarding that picture for VJ Day.
Yeah.
There's a giant statue in Sarasota.
Right.
What are they going to do with that? Take it down? Either way, I have got a picture of that, and we've got our favorite places, Sarasota being one of them. And that picture is proudly put in our dining room with a bunch of other wonderful places, and it will never, ever, ever come down.
Yeah, it's a statue of sexual assault, according to the Assistant Undersecretary for Health and Operations of the VA. That's sexual assault. That you displaying that photo. That's a tacit endorsement of the inappropriate behavior that it depicts. 844-580-WDBO. It's 844-580-9326. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. We do have some storms coming up from Lakeland, coming up by 4. We'll keep a close eye on those for you. And, of course, we're keeping a close eye on the Super Tuesday election results coming in. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning, and that is... Hang on, that is in... Oh, it's in Brandon. Okay, it's way on the other side of the state. So, but that's what's coming this way. So we'll continue to keep a close eye on that for you.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Now, the 3 big things you need to know. Powered by Hard Rock Bet.
3. Taylor Swift is urging fans to vote on the Super Tuesday. On her Instagram story, Swift discussed the presidential contest across the U.S. and her home state of Tennessee, too. She wrote, I wanted to remind you guys to vote the people who most represent you into power. 2. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez is being hit with new charges. The Democrat was indicted on 12 new criminal charges, including conspiracy to commit bribery, fraud, extortion, and conspiracy for a public official to act as a foreign agent. 1. A new report says the pilot in a plane crash that killed 3 people last month was lost and couldn't see his destination. The preliminary report from the National Transportation Safety Board says Jemin Patel of Melbourne Beach told air traffic controllers he couldn't see the Clearwater Air Park, even though its lights were on they're at highest intensity.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. Breaking news to lively debates, covering the issues that matter to you.
I make it a point to listen to Joe Kelley when I need to fully understand what's happening in the news.
Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
Hey, Joe. Russ from Claremont. Maybe the VA should look into filing sexual assault charges against our president. He seems to like to kiss children against their will on stage in front of millions of people.
You know, I'd like to be able to say you're just being political and being a jerk, but you're not. You actually make a pretty valid, sad, and tragic point. 844-580-WDBO, or use the open mic in the WDBO app to De Leon Springs, beautiful De Leon Springs. Tim is on the Joe Kelley Show. Hi, Tim. How are you?
Joe, it's Tom.
Tom. Hello, Tom. How are you?
I'm fine. I listened to your rendition of the raising of the flag on Mount Suribachi.
Yes,
and you've got it slightly wrong. The flag was originally raised, and they wanted to show the rest of the Marines on the island and the Navy sailors out on the ships that they had taken Suribachi, but the flag was too small to be seen.
Right.
So they ordered guys to go up and put up a bigger flag.
Right.
So the second flag was put up not as a stunt for a picture, but to enable all the Marines on Iwo Jima and the guys out in the ships to see that they had taken Suribachi.
Yeah, it was a staged photo, staged picture. The second one was. So
no, it wasn't.
All right. Thanks.
We're raising a second flag that was big enough for all the Marines And all the Navy sailors.
I heard you. I heard you there, Tom. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. 844-580-WDBO. Umberto is in Orlando. Hello, Umberto.
Hi, Joe. All right, first-time caller. So I am a combat veteran from the United States Army. I was with the infantry, 23rd Mechanized, when we participated in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, 91. And at the time, we didn't have any of this woke nonsense when I was there. If you were gay, you were quiet. No one wanted you. No one wanted to hear you.
And was that in the don't ask, don't tell era?
Probably. Yeah. And, but it is what basically everyone knew.
Sure.
Suspected people, but no one complained about anything. We all behaved the way we were supposed to behave. We did our jobs. And now for all these woke people working at these institutions, they have no business being there. They're a bunch of cowards. That's how I see it. This is how a lot of people see it. There's no room for them to be there trying to change history. If someone kissed someone up there, who cares? It was the celebration everyone was doing. It's like patting people in the back. Some people don't like to be touched. What are they going to do? Change history? No.
Absolutely,
Umberto. About the flag in Suribachi, I'm agreeing with the first caller. It is actually not staged. A stage, if you want to consider, okay, fine, they had to do it again, but it was actual troops. They were there, the Marines.
Oh yeah, it was actual. I don't disagree with that. It was actual troops, but that scene was recreated. I mean, they did it twice, and that's not a besmirch to the Marines who fought and died to capture Mount Suribachi. It is just a footnote to history, much like I said about the woman, the nurse that was kissed by the sailor. There were multiple people who claimed that was them, and it could possibly have been multiple different people who kissed, that same sailor may have kissed multiple nurses, and that same nurse may have kissed multiple sailors.
Yeah, time changes.
Yep.
There's different customs and things like that. We have to respect history. That's
absolutely.
What's next? They want to say, you can't do this because, you know what, the Japanese were crying, and there's pictures from World War II or Vietnam where you're not supposed to show all the things that happened. That's history.
People are so quick to get their feelings hurt about that kind of stuff. Umberto, I'm so glad you called here for the first time. Thank you for that. Chad in Orlando, you're on the Joe Kelley Show. Hi, Chad.
Hey, Joe. Love the show today.
Thank you.
Yeah, a couple questions on these pictures. Yes, the Mount
Suribachi. Yeah. I had a problem with that, too.
Yeah. That was staged because they had specifically ordered a photographer to go out there and photograph this incident because they knew it was going to happen. It's not like he was running by on a horse and they just lifted and he just snapped a picture off.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the Navy. That guy could have been gay, and the photographer was out there and he says, "Hey, why don't you two kiss?
Yeah,
I'm going to take a picture because they didn't run around with iPhones back then, snapping pictures every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
They had big cameras with these big flash bulbs, and it took a minute to set the damn camera up.
Yeah,
that's why she's leaning backwards. He's like, all right, let me get it in frame, and you guys and kiss. And he's all right, I'm going to lay you back like a Hollywood film. If he was going to run up and kiss a girl, he would run up, kiss her, and then run away, and she'd be screaming and bitching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you make a good point. You make a very good point, Chad.
Photo. They were happy, and to me, says, I don't want to kiss a girl, but I'll do it for a picture for America.
To me, that she is leaning back, to me, speaks to a bit of an implied consent. She was really into that photo. She was into that moment. And why wouldn't she be into that moment? Do you know how many millions of American soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines' lives could have been saved or were saved by the end of the war? That was a moment worth celebrating, to be sure.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk. Orange, Seminole, Osceola, and all of Central Florida. Join the conversation now by using the open mic in the WDBO app. Now, the Joe Kelley Show on Orlando's News and Talk, WDBO.
Well, we do have a growing storm down near Lakeland, a storm cell that is headed our way, and it is severe. There's a severe thunderstorm warning. It's coming this way. It's not affecting our immediate listener area just yet. You guys know where Lakeland is. If you're driving, I-4 down to Tampa, Lakeland is about the halfway point, but it is coming straight up I-4. And I don't know if you guys have checked the map lately, but I-4 goes right into the heart of downtown Orlando. So if this stays on its current path, it is going to come right here. And we have lacrosse tonight. Let's see, it's an away game. We're playing at Lake Mineola, which is just north of Claremont, which is also pretty much the same path that the storm cell is taking. So we'll see if there's actually going to be a lacrosse game to go to tonight. All right. I need everybody's attention for this next segment. Laurel, are you with me?
I'm with you.
Paul Cross, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
And then we have Greg and Jake in the other room.
Oh, we hear you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I was reading this survey that was commissioned by Domino's Pizza, which, by the way, I had Domino's Pizza Saturday. I have not had Domino's Pizza in probably 20 years. Meh. Just want to comment on that.
That's accurate.
Yeah. But it was commissioned by Domino's Pizza to mark their partnership with Cadbury's Cream Egg, which I didn't realize Domino's had a partnership with But anyhow, so the survey asks about dining turnoffs, things that turn you off about someone that you're dining with. All right, so I've got a list of 30 items. Now, I'm not going to list all 30. I might list the top 10. But what would be a dining turnoff from your perspective, Laurel?
Chewing with their mouth open.
Yeah. Honestly, in some cases, chewing with their mouth closed is even a turnoff.
Particularly for you,
because if I can still hear you chewing, even if your mouth is closed, I am this close from sticking a shiv in your side.
And honestly, this isn't about dining per se, but poor tippers I'm immediately a no with poor tippers.
Yeah. What about you, Paul Cross?
Well, Laurel, you were a server, so you have a different perspective of that too.
Exactly. Yep.
For me, I just think being rude to anyone at any given time. I'm always just somebody who's nice, and if something didn't turn out right, I'm always polite and saying, hey, I can't eat this because it's this. I'm never pissed off at anybody because I think that is a big bad thing.
Greg and Jake, what about you guys?
Probably eating Cadbury eggs while at Domino's.
Right? This just sounds terrible.
Not my cup of tea on that.
No.
And mine would be when somebody's like slurping spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that's terrible. That is terrible. All right, so what's interesting is both Laurel and Paul Cross kind of danced around the top one on the list. The top turnoff is being rude to waiters or waitresses.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the biggest turnoff. And look, we've all been there before. Assuming that all of us have never been rude to a waiter or a waitress, but we've been there when someone in our party has been rude to a waiter or a waitress. I was on a cruise once with some radio station colleagues. It was an official radio station cruise, and you know how sometimes people drink and they get sleepy. Sometimes when people drink too much, they get funny. Sometimes when people drink too much, they get horny. Sometimes when people drink too much, they become a raging a-hole. Well, one of my colleagues was the latter. And, on a cruise ship, they bring you like a 5-course meal, and they bring it out. Everybody gets the first course, then they collect the plates, they get the second course. Well, this guy had been drinking, and he said to the waiter, "I want all 5 courses right now. I want them all right now." And all of us at the table were absolutely mortified. And I will tell you, that was the last event he did with our radio station. That was the last time he was paid by our radio station. So,
okay, I want to change mine to people who drink too much at dinner.
You mean alcohol, or just drink water too much?
Oh, drink alcohol. Again, it's one of those things where you have to put it into perspective. If you are treating somebody like that, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree of how you are in real life anyway.
So number 1 is being rude to waiters or waitresses. Number 2 is eating with your mouth open. I think one of you guys said that. Number 3 is talking with a mouthful of food. Yeah, that's gross. Number 4 is spitting something back onto a plate. Raise your hand if you've ever excused yourself to go to the bathroom to spit out something that was in your mouth.
Or I'll do like the napkin, like,
I got the napkin.
That's the thing.
Wiping my face.
Napkin to the face.
Yeah.
That's my go-to move. Is like, well, can the napkin?
I can recall a time I was eating a grizzly steak, and I couldn't swallow and I couldn't chew. I was like, I got to spit this out, and it was just too much to put in a napkin. And then I was going to need more napkins, and I was like, okay, well, could you excuse me? I want to go to the bathroom for just a second. So I excused myself, and I went to the bathroom like, blah, 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 blah. Next on the list is picking your teeth. That's terrible. Terrible picking.
You wait till the car to pick your teeth.
That's right. Yes, I am like that one guy, by the way, that flosses after every meal. And I just had my dental cleaning last week, and she's like, "Your teeth are amazing." I'm like, "I know." It's like the only thing I got going for me, honestly.
Do you floss at the table though, or do you wait?
Of course not. No, I have floss in my car, and so
there you go.
when I get to my car, I will floss in the car.
Can we talk about clipping toenails in public?
For Pete's sake, what? No, we're talking about food. Stop that.
No, I know, but if that happens at a table,
no, we're not changing.
Somebody's going to get killed.
We're not changing the topic.
Okay. No problem.
Slurping soup is next. Eating other people's leftovers without asking. It depends on your relationship with the other person.
Yeah, I agree. If I know I'm done, my husband's allowed to pick off my plate. He knows that.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a cereal eater, and he'll see if you haven't touched those French fries for a little bit too long, he's reaching over, and it's an unconscious reaction by him. He's like, I didn't even mean to take one of your French fries. I am so sorry. While he's taking another French fry and putting it in his mouth.
Well, I have FOMO. That is fear of missing out on food. FOMO. And so anytime I go out to eat, I'm like, hey, what did you order? What did you get? What did you get though? What did you get? Hey, what did you get? And I want to know what everybody got just in case I needed theirs instead of what I was going to order. So I desperately need to know. Next is licking a knife.
Oh, I don't think that's that. I mean, I don't do it, but I don't think that's terrible.
Certainly if it's a steak knife, it's ill-advised.
Well, yes. Safety issues.
Right. Criticizing someone else's cooking. Yeah, that's
rude. If they cooked for you,
no. And lastly, number 10, licking fingers instead of using a napkin.
Yeah, that's gross.
I don't lick my fingers for two reasons. One, I don't know where my fingers have been.
Got to keep better track of that.
Right, and I know. I should have a log or something that tells me where my fingers have been. And two, there is nothing in life I hate more than feeling sticky on my fingers. And licking your fingers makes your fingers sticky. I mean, honest to goodness, I have had temper tantrums. If my fingers feel sticky, I will stop everything that I'm doing and go. That was the hardest stretch for me with having children, because when you have children, their hands are always sticky. Daddy, hold my hand. Go wash your hands first, because your hands are sticky, and rinse them off and wash them right. Make sure they're dry.
Joe, do you eat glazed donuts with a fork and knife?
I would.
No, you don't eat glazed donuts at all?
I would.
Okay.
I don't eat donuts at all.
And I see. I might be guilty of this one. I like chicken wings and like just sauce, but I'm a quiet. I'm not the person that's over there like popping my fingers out of my mouth. It's a quiet, reserved.
Okay, I will.
Oh no,
eat.
If I'm at a wings place, I'm going through a roll of paper towels rather than licking my fingers.
Me too. Me too.
No, I love that sauce. I don't know.
I will eat chicken wings. In fact, I just did last week. I had delicious in the air fryer. It was the first time we ever made chicken wings in the air fryer. It came out really nice. But yeah, I am absolutely not going to lick my fingers because, again, rule number 1, I don't know where my fingers have been.
Yeah, here's a tip. Wash your hands if you're going to do that. You touch the menus, you touch the table. I don't even put my silverware down on tables because I've seen the way tables are cleaned at restaurants.
When was the last time that tablecloth was washed?
Even the table. You don't want to see the bucket, the sanitation bucket, the rags go in.
That's what I meant, the rag.
Yeah, don't touch the table and then the menus and then lick your fingers, okay?
Oh, terrible. Absolutely terrible. All right. 844-580-WDBO. You can use the open mic in the WDBO app. We're watching as the results come in. Biden is going to win on the left. Trump is going to win on the right. And that's about it. We'll keep you updated throughout the night, though.
The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. The Joe Kelley Show on WDBO. talk, and discussion on the latest breaking national news.
Crude oil prices continue to fall.
Local news.
You're not going to have Disney have its own government in Central Florida.
And stories that matter to you. Use the open mic in the WDBO app and let your voice be heard on the Joe Kelley Show.
Keeping a close eye on the weather tonight. We do have some showers and storms that are coming this way. The storm activity is down near Lakeland right now. It's truly just one cell down near Lakeland, but it is coming this way. And then a little further up north, you get towards the Palm Coast and a little north of Ocala and Fruitland, north of Daytona, just some lighter showers that are passing across the state. But some heavy storm activity, severe thunderstorm warnings in effect around Lakeland at this hour. A lot of lightning with that storm. So if you have an outdoor sporting event tonight, if you have an outdoor lacrosse game tonight,
or an Orlando City match.
That's right. They're playing outdoors still. And they're playing, it's an international game, isn't it?
Correct. It's part of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, and they're playing Tigres from Mexico.
Tigres from Mexico, the CONCACAF champion.
Yep, something like that.
I'm repeating what I thought I heard you say. What is it again?
Sounded like you sneezed, but yeah, CONCACAF.
CONCACAF, all right. And that's going to be at not Exploria Stadium.
Inter & Co. Stadium at 9 o'clock tonight.
Inter & Co. Stadium. There you go. All right, so we'll see you back here tomorrow. Make sure you sign up for the breaking news alerts in the WDBO app, so you'll be aware of any kind of severe weather tonight, and, of course, the polls as they close for this Super Tuesday. And check it out on Orlando's Morning News with Scott Inez tomorrow morning. He'll have all of the news you need to know.